What's up, guys? Josh Clow,
Michael Weaver.
and welcome to another episode of the Cleaver Podcast. Um, if you guys haven't already, subscribe to us so you don't miss any other episodes and or series that we will be doing in the upcoming months and weeks. So, without further ado, let's just begin. Let's dive right in. Steelers got a three-game losing streak. What's happened to them in the last 3 weeks?
Well, it would seem like they're a pretty streaky team. They started off hot. They've been pretty streaky all year long. Just
they went 1-2-1, won 6 straight. Now they've lost three.
They're losing 3.
And they're in the battle of the division now.
Yeah, it's been a weird year for Pittsburgh. Like their offense gets hot and their defense is like cold, and it's just crazy what's going on with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and 2 of their losses came from the Broncos and the Raiders, which, they're not good teams.
No,
at all.
Especially the Raiders. Like that one was.
That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
those are games you have to win to make it to the playoffs.
Like good teams beat bad teams. That's how it goes. Playoff teams beat teams that are fighting for the first overall pick.
Yeah, in the first 4 games, they were averaging 25 points a game, with their defense averaging 29 a game, which is absolutely just terrible.
Yeah.
Despite and one of those games was the Chiefs, but still within 4 games, that's still bad. But on their streak, they're averaging almost 33 points a game, which is the normal Pittsburgh Steelers we usually always see.
Yeah.
And their defense averaging just 18 points a game. On the 3-game losing streak, their offense has just mustered up 22 points a game, which is the worst of the season, with their defense averaging about 27 points a game.
Yeah.
So, their defense has allowed almost 9 points more, a touchdown and a field goal, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, you went against a Broncos team that has no offense. You get rid of Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. He's been dealing with an Achilles injury when that happened.
Yeah.
But before he was out for the season, you got Case Keenum, who's just been trash all season.
Yeah. He's not.
They literally got the Broncos back into playoff contention that were never in the playoff contention at first. And then a Raiders team that really has the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
Mustered up only 21 points. Their offense, all their wide receivers are gone or got traded away. No Jordy Nelson, no Martavis Bryant, no Amari Cooper, and he still
found a way to beat Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
So, they've been inconsistent. You don't throw 52 points against Carolina to muster up only 20 points against the Broncos and the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, last week I do think they were without James Conner, but still, you have Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, and 2 very, very reliable tight ends.
Yeah.
And you got Big Ben. What more can you say? He's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback one day. But what's more concerning is his 13 interceptions this season. He is on pace to have his worst season, in the turnover ratio.
Yeah.
Despite him having his best season in touchdowns and yards, he is giving the ball away a lot more often.
Yeah.
And against the Chargers, he really did choke. You were up literally 24 points, and then you were essentially almost shut out the whole second half. So I don't know what has happened with Big Ben. I don't know if he has an injury. Father Time's finally, catching up to him or what, but
I think last week, during the game, his ribs got hurt somehow, but he did come back into the game.
Yeah,
so
and
it's not too serious.
And a botched field goal to lose the game. Could have gone to overtime. Shouldn't have gotten that way.
Yeah.
But it also, kind of gives you a perspective of the backup quarterback. You couldn't even play against the Raiders, who has a terrible defense. So, and I did like the guy who they picked up from Oklahoma State. So, I don't know if it's a coaching problem, or because you've got the offense. usually just chuck it to Juju and Antonio, and they're going to catch the ball.
Yeah.
So.
And they're the type of the receivers to put up yards after the catch too.
Oh yeah, just curl route slants
Yeah.
and let them do the work like Odell Beckham does half the time, or Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
But with them losing the 3 in a row, they're literally only a half a game up from the Ravens because of that tie.
Yeah.
So between them and the Ravens, and technically speaking, the Browns, if they win out, could win the division also.
Yeah.
And I mean, Cincinnati Bengals also has a chance, but they have a backup quarterback for the season.
Yeah, and I think
Who's
AJ Green is out
Yes,
for the season.
he's out for the season too. So the Bengals are very much out of contention. But the Browns have an easy schedule, final 3 weeks. Ravens has a tough schedule, final 3 weeks, and the Steelers has the Patriots and the Saints coming up. Who's gonna win that division now?
I think it's going to be the Ravens because they have the number 1 defense, and defense wins championships. You know, they do play the Bucks this week, which will be a good test for their defense. But I think the Ravens are. We'll get to that more often or later on, but I think the Ravens have a slightly easier schedule. They do have the Chargers next week, but
and then they have the Browns to
and then they have
finish
the
out.
Browns. But I mean, I think the Baltimore Ravens are in a spot where they could steal this away from Pittsburgh.
Joe Flacco just got benched for Lamar Jackson. Do you trust Lamar Jackson to win out and push this team into the playoffs? Or is John Harbaugh making a mistake at this point of the season, giving it to Lamar Jackson instead of Joe Flacco?
That's the tricky thing because I would trust Joe Flacco more than Lamar Jackson in this situation because Joe Flacco has won a Super Bowl. You know, he's taken them to the Super Bowl.
And you're not playing good teams or bad teams. You're going against fairly defensive teams, the Chargers and the Browns.
Outside of the Bucks,
Yeah, and then Lamar Jackson actually has to put up numbers against Jameis Winston or Ryan Fitzpatrick, whoever comes in with that electrifying offense.
Yeah.
You know, can Lamar Jackson overcome, these top 5 defense? I mean, Browns are number 2 or 3 in the league in turnovers.
Yeah. Chargers
are really, Joey Bosa is now back. They gave the Steelers really 20 yards rushing in that game. They are nasty, and we're going to see that defense tonight against the Chiefs. And if they do beat the Chiefs, I don't see Lamar Jackson able to pull out that win.
Yeah, it'll be something to see. It'll be a really great test for Lamar Jackson this stretch. We'll see if he was worth that first round pick, which I think he was, but
I mean, he's 3-1 as a starter, but some of those teams were
And he's also using his legs, which if you're a quarterback, you want to be able to use your arm, not just your legs. Legs are supposed to be a secondary option to your arm.
If the Ravens make the playoffs, does John Harbaugh go back to Joe Flacco?
I think it would depend. I think he would have a short leash on Lamar Jackson because playoffs is obviously win or go home. So if Lamar Jackson starts struggling, throw Flacco out there immediately. Well, that's what I would say.
It's looking like, if they win the division, they're going to be the 4th seed. If they lose, it's going to be the 6th seed. So it's going to come to, do you either play whoever makes the 5th seed, which is either going to be the Chiefs or the Chargers. Obviously, Lamar Jackson probably won't be able to play both of those.
Yeah.
Or if you take the 6th seed, you're going to have to play the 3rd seed, which is either New England Patriots or Houston Texans. So, I think Joe Flacco has the best shot at that.
Yeah.
He's proven himself in the playoffs before. I've seen him throw 7 touchdowns against Peyton Manning in a playoff game. I think that Joe Flacco might be one of the best postseason quarterbacks in there. He's crappy as a regular season, don't get me wrong, but postseason, I think he does up his game to where Lamar Jackson, he's never been in the playoffs before. He couldn't make it to the playoffs in the college football, despite winning Heisman and a front runner for a 2nd year.
Yeah.
And the AFC is no joke when it comes to those teams. Like I said, you got the Patriots, you got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers, and then Houston, we're on a 9-10 game winning streak.
Yeah, 9-game
winning streak. So that's no joke. And then the wild card teams, some of them are proven to be decent,
really
solid teams.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 teams with 7-6 records.
Yeah, and
including
the Colts just knocked off the 9-game winning streak for Houston.
Yeah,
so.
Miami just beat the Patriots, so
Yeah.
they're legit team. And the Titans, just Derrick Henry just popped off against a top 10 defense. So there's definitely questions for the Ravens on who should move for it. I think Lamar Jackson next season should be the starting quarterback. But you are for John Harbaugh, your seat is hot. If you don't miss the playoffs, you might be looking for a new team. You don't want to leave the Ravens. I mean, he loves the Ravens. Been there for years.
Yeah.
I don't think Lamar Jackson's the way to go this season.
I don't think so either. But if he's benching Joe Flacco right now, he's committed. So. But
it also could be a reality check for Joe Flacco, which some coaches do. I mean, we saw Cam Newton get benched once. We saw Tyrod Taylor get benched once. Came back, led the Bills to the playoffs last year before getting traded. So.
Yeah.
I mean, even Brett Favre was traded for a reality check. So there's John Harbaugh needs just trust his gut. I think this is a possible reality check. See where Lamar Jackson are against the Bucks. If he does struggle against the Bucks, you definitely have to put Joe Flacco. I mean, Bucks have worst or second worst behind the Raiders on defense. So.
Yeah. So that's Jackson is gonna have a short leash for the rest of the year.
But I think the Steelers are going to win that division. I want to say the Browns. I mean, the Browns are very capable of going 3-0 in the final 3 games.
Yeah.
But that also requires the Steelers to lose out, and so does the Ravens, or at least win 1 game.
Yeah.
Because the Browns do have that tie. Although I don't know who's going to get that head-to-head record between the Steelers and the Browns, because Steelers won and the Browns tie, so it kind of comes down to some tiebreakers.
Yeah.
So, but if the Steelers has the possibility of losing out, benefit for the Steelers that they have the Bengals in Week 17 against whoever that dude is at quarterback, or Brian Hoyer. So, but they gotta win 1 more game. I think beating the Patriots kind of consolidates them to be the favorite of the division, but Big Ben is 2-8 against Brady, so there is, and then Drew Brees is just
the Saints are just something else as a whole.
Yeah, and their defense, has been averaging 27 points a game, going against the top 3 best offense in the league right now. Yeah. To a quarterback who's only thrown 2 or 3 picks this season, so.
Yeah, I don't like the Pittsburgh chances the next 2 weeks.
Now, luckily, both of these games are at home. Yeah. But Pittsburgh, to make a statement, you got to win against one of these games to make the playoffs. Yeah. And win one and have the Ravens lose, and you're in.
Yeah. And with Pittsburgh, the thing is, I trust Big Ben more than I do with Lamar Jackson or Joe Flacco. Yeah. Despite his struggles this season with picks, I still trust him more than both Baltimore quarterbacks. So, we'll see if he has another run in him.
Talking about quarterbacks, we're going to go over to the NFC. Cowboys started season 3-5. They're now 8-5. There's some speculations on coaching for the Cowboys. What about Dak Prescott? He's going next year, his final year of his rookie contract. So is Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper's going to need a new deal. Some of that offensive linemen. Is Dak Prescott the quarterback of the Cowboys, or should they let him walk away and then they find a free agent or draft somebody this year?
My opinion, I would let Dak walk. He's a good quarterback, but I have a thing for quarterbacks. The great quarterbacks make everyone else great. The average to mediocre quarterbacks, other players make them great. And Zeke is making Dak look better, and now especially Amari Cooper is making Dak look better. So, in my opinion, I would let Dak walk and let him find someone else, get a new chance, and then Dallas should go out and get a new quarterback, draft someone. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Though.
Yeah, Dak has he has benefit off the great offensive line. Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott. If you go back to last year when they missed the playoffs, when Zeke was taking that 6-game suspension, they had dealt with injuries on the offensive line. He had his worst career games ever in that stretch, and they weren't the greatest teams to go against. I mean, the freaking Falcons sacked him 6 times.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, they sacked him 8 or 9. Claiborne had 6 sacks himself, I think. Who is a guy who doesn't get that many sacks like that.
Yeah.
So, Dak, he has a 29-15 record. Most of those losses came from Zeke not being in the game or injuries at offensive line.
Yeah.
So honestly, he's benefiting off of what they have already built onto. He struggles. He gets panicky. He doesn't know what to do when it comes down to those situations. I think some of the blame is Jason Garrett. I don't think he's that type of coach to coach him up.
Yeah.
You know, he was lucky that Tony Romo already knew how to do that.
Yeah.
But dealing with this rookie for the first time in his career, you know, and this young guy, I mean, he has completed 66% of his passes, but he only has 10,000 yards, almost finishing with 3 seasons. That's a little over 3,000 yards a season. 62 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. That's not terrible. I mean, he's 2.5 touchdowns to 1 pick.
Yeah.
Almost 3 touchdowns to a pick. A 95.8 career passing rating. Also, you got to benefit on the, you know, he has 5 seconds to throw the ball in most cases because of the offensive line, and you know half the time they're running it for Zeke, so they're expecting a run.
Yeah.
Or you dump it off to Zeke. He has almost 1,000 rushing yards, 17 rushing touchdowns, but he has fumbled the ball 25 times. So he has fumble or ball protection problems. You know, 45 games, 25 of them he has fumbled, either from running or getting sacked. So it's not a good stat to have. Almost 3 seasons in, 45 games. You're fumbling every other game.
Yeah.
So he's averaging a turnover a game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not terrible.
No,
But Brady or Aaron Rodgers, who's averaging literally a turnover every 3 to 4 games, is outrageous. Definitely Aaron Rodgers, who has 1 pick still to this day of this season after 13 games, while playing injured half the season. So, I think that Dak should walk. I think the Cowboys could pick up a free agent. I think the Cowboys are just a quarterback away to being a championship team. We saw that back in 2016 when they went 13-3.
But they couldn't quite make it.
But having Dak Prescott battling Aaron Rodgers, I mean, their defense played decent, but you know, Aaron Rodgers came back and then Dak Prescott couldn't move the chains anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with that. You know, you got Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz on the come up, Jared Goff on the come up, Mitch Trubisky. Can he outperform those quarterbacks? I don't think he can. Like I said, I do believe it's a coaching problem. There's definitely a team to pick them up. Some of those really crappy teams. I know the Bucks are thinking about moving from Jameis Winston.
Yeah, you got the Bucks. You got the Patriots.
The Jaguars.
Yeah, the Patriots could pick him up. Possible successor to Tom Brady. You never know. I mean, Bill Belichick.
And the other question is, if you keep Dak, how much do you want to spend on him? Because you don't want to spend too much money on Dak, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, the offensive line, because then you got no money for actual playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, which that defense is young also.
Yeah.
So, and Randy Gregory ain't cheap. That rookie linebacker, I mean, he's playing great, but give him 3 more years. You're on a contract for all these other dudes.
Yeah.
You got no money for him. Your corner, but Byron Jones is due for a new contract here in the next year or 2. So the Cowboys are in money situation problems coming up, and Jason Garrett just earned himself another year or 2 on the winning streak. He's not going to know what to do. Granted, Jerry Jones kind of runs that team instead, and Jerry Jones has previously made mistakes before. One of that mistakes is letting Tony Romo go after Dak Prescott. Granted, his rookie year, Tony Romo was the better quarterback.
Yeah.
Tony Romo probably would have beaten the Packers that season in that playoffs, but you know, it is what it is. But I think Dak needs to. I think the Cowboys should let him walk. after the free agency. If not, pick up his 5th-year option, which will be pricey. He's going to be about 10, 12 mil.
Something like that. Yeah.
But I actually probably won't be a lot because he's a 4th-round pick. But he is a quarterback.
Yeah. But if you want to look at the other side really quick, the chance of maybe keeping him, a quick comparison I have is Russell Wilson. In his first 3 seasons, he had about 70 touchdowns, 72. He had about 26 picks, 72 touchdowns, 26 picks, and Seattle leaned heavily on Marshawn Lynch his first 2.5, 3 years.
They had the number one defense in the league, where Cowboys, they have a good defense, but it's not number one.
Yeah, but there were similar questions like, is he the future? And, I mean, as time has gone on, he's proven he is the future. They still lean heavily on the run game, but, he's proven he's the future, so maybe it could be a similar situation with Dak.
Also, you gotta put in the side. I think Pete Carroll's definitely a better coach.
Oh yes,
than Jason Garrett.
By far, it's not even close.
So Pete Carroll's been around for many years, and he's the oldest coach in the league.
He's done college.
This is not his first rodeo with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I know he was the Patriots coach before Belichick.
Yeah,
and
he's also been to the Super Bowl, and he knows he's won a lot of playoff. He's had a lot of playoff wins, and also he had played in some coached some big games in college, obviously. So he's been to the top of the top. But
Jason Garrett, he was a backup quarterback, his career behind whoever it was. I can't remember his name. I know who it is. I just can't think on top of my tongue. But yeah, the Cowboys need to let him go too, but we can talk about it another time.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. Miracles happen every once in a couple of years. Mac Killigan said it. Miracles happen once every decade. We all saw the Miami Miracle. Miami topping the Patriots 34-33. What does that game do for both the Patriots and the Dolphins moving on for the rest of the season?
I don't think it does too much for the Patriots. Sure, it's another loss, but I think the division is still theirs. But for Miami, that's a confidence booster because you just beat the Patriots, who've been the top of the top in the AFC for years and years. And you have that confidence. You can play with the best of the best. So maybe that'll, elevate their game for the last couple games and push them into the postseason.
Does that loss?
I think it takes.
Does that loss hurt the Patriots coming into the playoffs?
It hurts their chances for the first seed, obviously.
Do they get the second seed? Because they are tied with Houston. Houston did suffer that loss against the Colts. They do have the head-to-head tiebreaker, but Houston's schedule is pretty easy down the stretch.
Yeah.
Where Patriots, they have the Steelers and then 2 divisional games left to go. Where the Houston Texans, I know they got to play they still got to play the Jaguars, who's been trash all season, and
they got the Eagles and the Jets the next 2 weeks.
So,
Jets and then Eagles, then Jags.
All those are winnable games. They could finish the season 12-4.
Yeah.
Where the Patriots, they can suffer a loss within the next 3 games. You got the Bills, the Jets, and the Steelers. And with these games against the Bills and Jets, it'll be the first time Brady actually has to go against Sam Darnold and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Both of those guys were injured the first go around.
But those are both home games for the Patriots too. So,
but losing to the Steelers,
if they lose to Pittsburgh, then that's a blow. But I think that's a winnable game for the Patriots, even though it's on the road. So, but yeah, I think the Patriots still, with the tiebreaker over Houston, I think they still have the better chance for that second seed.
But now they gotta go to Kansas City for the playoffs if both teams make it to the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Which we know how Brady is. He's a 3-4 record on the road in the playoffs. AFC Championship, he's lost in Denver. Kansas City, he doesn't play very well in Kansas City.
Yeah.
He's taken a loss in Baltimore before also. So these are things to look forward to coming into the postseason. If he does take that 3rd seed, he has to play a wild card game.
Yeah.
Patriots haven't played a wild card game since 2008, the year that Tom Brady tore his ACL. So to play 3 games and to not host 2 of those games, is definitely will be a big blow for Tom Brady, who, like I said, sucks on the road in the playoffs. Who's pretty used to having a bye.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a bye in probably 15 of those seasons.
Most of them, yeah.
But we heard the bad news about Carson Wentz this year. Second straight year, he's dealt with a very terrible injury. He has a fractured vertebrae. Nick Foles is to start probably the rest of the season and or playoffs if they make the push, which they are very thick in the 6th seed wild card race.
Yeah.
As they're a half game behind the Vikings.
Yeah.
Where the Vikings still has a pretty hard stretch. I know 2 of their games are against teams with winning records.
Yeah.
But Nick Foles, this is the last year of his contract. Will he be a starting quarterback somewhere else in the league?
I mean, I think he should have been a starting quarterback somewhere in the league this year, especially after the way he performed in the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl, not Carson Wentz. So
he was a good backup for.
Yeah,
while
he's one of the he's one of the best backups in the league. But I mean, like I said, I don't know why he's not a starter this year. But I mean, if he can prove himself over these next 3 games, and if they get into the playoffs,
and he plays the Rams this week, so if he can do what he did against the Patriots,
just
not
himself.
Even just win against the Rams, but put up a game, make it close. I think that gets people going. Well, this could, but could he be the next Case Keenum though? He had that fantastic season with the Vikings. Then he just comes down to earth. Has a terrible season with the Broncos, despite the great offense that they had in previous years. I mean, you still have wide receivers who played with Peyton Manning, who put up the best season in Peyton Manning career in those 4 years of stretch. So, and you have a great running back in Phillip Lindsay.
Yeah.
So riding on a top 10 defense. So, and then with Nick Foles, who would sign him? Who needs him? I mean, there's a couple of quarterback needing teams. We were talking about with the Buccaneers and the Jaguars also need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Miami could be moving on from Ryan Tannehill with his injuries and his contract. So, and then Jimmy Garoppolo might need a better backup. And coming off of a torn ACL injury also. He might not be ready to start the season, but does he want to be a backup?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he proves himself this year. But these past couple games, but he's got a good test. I think he already proved himself in the Super Bowl, but apparently no one else thought otherwise.
Yeah, I mean most people don't beat Brady.
Yeah, especially in the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah,
or
Super
the
Bowl.
playoffs in general.
He has the Super Bowl MVP under his name.
Yeah.
So. I don't think he would be a top dollar quarterback.
No.
He could be something like A.J. McCarron, average about $5-6 million a year.
Yeah.
But
I think he's the same type of quarterback as Dak is. He's not a franchise quarterback,